Thank you for tuning back into another episode of Elevate Podcast. Today, I've got special guest Julie Laughton here. I'm excited to introduce her. Let me go into a little brief intro because I obviously would love for you to share your story with me versus me. But Julie Laughton has completed over 1,000 remodels and custom homes along the affluent coastal communities of Orange County and LA County, Laguna Beach, and Newport Beach, as well as significant projects in Beverly Hills, Hollywood, and Pasadena. She has a strong educational background, graduating from Iowa State University with a degree in design, where she studied architecture, landscape architecture, mechanical engineering, and interior design. You spent 5 years in Manhattan working for top area architectural firms and developers, relocated to LA, and made your way to Laguna Beach, where you added certified custom kitchen and bath design to your resume and figured, hey, why not be a general contractor too? So you did that. And here we are. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm so excited to share your story.
Thank you, Robert. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. I was checking out your website, and one thing I love, it says, it all starts with a good plan. Mm-hmm. One of my early on mentors told me, fail to plan, plan to fail.
Yes.
And the reason why I love this so much and why it resonates with me is because residential real estate is like the wild, wild west.
Oh, yeah.
Every agent does it different. Every team does it different. Every broker does it different. And honestly, there's really no standard or structure in this industry, which I'm assuming is probably the same with yours. And the one thing that separates my team and I from our competition is that we've been able to create structure in an industry that has none. We operate off of processes and systems, and I have 3 assistants that manage everything on the back end because we're the creatives, we're out and about, we're meeting with people. And the first thing I noticed was 7 simple steps to building a 5-star custom home. And I love the breakdown. And my question to you is, did you always have it this dialed in? Or did this come over time as you made mistakes, learned, and grew?
Well, just so you know, being the one-stop shop, there is a process to this business, but it's the architectural process and their code of ethics. It's the interior design process and the code of ethics, and those two overlap. And then the construction process is no different than having a baby. That process is 9 months to 12 months, and it's in the same order for every house. So there is no mystery to this, and there is and the engineers follow the same process of design and development. So there is processes that are always in place, but no one's put them together. And so what I had from day one, which I used to develop further this year, and then what I did is I had a checklist of 560 items and steps to get through this process from conception to completion that I always had on my computer that I followed. And then as I brought people on and trained them, they followed them. And then that turned into the standard operating procedure and the roles for each person under me and next to me. So I, like you, have 3 girls in the office doing the billing and the contracts for the 2 corporations and the QuickBooks for the 2 corporations. And then I have 2 guys in the field that work with me and project manager, but I'm still the lead project manager. And then I'll have another project manager on each job. So the process has just been fine-tuned so that everybody's delegated duties, but it hasn't changed because this business is an order to how things are done. You can do things backwards in remodeling. You could put the floors in before or after things, but and when you build a custom home, it's that same process. So it's stupid to do it the wrong way, but we do have a process, yes, because it's design development. It's like creating a baby. We're building a house. It's your baby, and then we're going to deliver the baby when the house is done. So it's and the men are the chromosomes, It's kind of funny, but it's we're building we're creating the dream home is building something, and then the process is the same.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. You said there was 560 steps.
I have 560. Right? I thought it was 1,000, but if you break down the details of what the subs have to do, and then it comes to about 1,000 because there's so many little things you have to check for as the process goes through.
And I'm assuming some are applicable and some aren't applicable depending on the project, right? Was it always 560?
It always was, and then I can develop them depending on the project because new construction is more items, and remodels, depending on the size of the job, are less items and less subs. But if I always say just call it 1,000 for new construction from A to Z. Yeah, it's always the same. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I have a friend of mine that used to always say when mistakes happen, don't get mad. Look at it as an opportunity to improve the process.
Oh, yeah.
So when you talk about 560, I remember when I first hired my assistant, when we had a listing launch, there was about 40 things that had to be done, in my opinion, for us to successfully launch.
Oh.
And now there's about 150 things
See?
that have to happen, because every time something goes wrong, we're like, how can we get ahead of it
That's what
and
happens.
not let that happen again next time? And so we have tons of things that may or may not apply to make sure the client gets predictable service.
Well, that's just it. And then, so what happens with me is the process never changes, right? But my contracts have evolved over the years. Every time I have a problem with the client saying they didn't understand that, or they didn't know that was in the contract, or then you have the clients that are pulling fast ones and don't want to pay and try to fight you on the words on the contract, because California's very litigious. There are scammers out there.
Yeah.
So my contracts have evolved the most, because my job is to explain everything clearly to the client, tell them what's going to happen in advance, because I don't know about you, but I like to plan. I want to know what's going on tomorrow and in 12 months. So I detail everything out in detail the day I sign the client, and then I inform them daily if necessary, but weekly for sure, if not twice a week. So it's constant communication, because they're letting you take them in uncharted territory.
Yeah.
It makes them very nervous. And if you have a client that has the possible what you call a control freak, or someone with a lot of fear, it's a hard deal. So we have everything in place to calm them down, and we do phone calls and whatever it takes, and I do videos, because some people just don't trust. And so depending on the client, we have to, hyper focus. But after the years, my contracts, if you read my design contract, you'll see what's happened to me over the years. You can see what I've done to improve them, but every mistake and every challenge and and that's not even a mistake, but everything that happens is a learning experience. Just like relationships, you go through or you get divorced. It's a learning curve to make you better.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's, no shame. It's always making you better.
Well, I love that you touched on the communication, because I think that's something that's missing in my industry as well. When I talk to clients that have had agents in the past, one thing that we have on our team is we never want our client wondering what's happening next.
Oh, yeah.
We actually made a video series called What's Going to Happen Next, so that every time there was a major milestone in the process, we'd send this video to them.
Oh, nice.
And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so helpful. We were actually thinking that. So it sounds like you tend to over-communicate to make sure. And I'm assuming that your competition technically or typically doesn't communicate at a level that you do.
They don't, because what happened is the guy you hire has a guy and a guy and a guy, or a girl in the office, and the guy that maybe is assigned to you doesn't have the same knowledge as the principal or the architect or the contractor, because who knows which company you're working with, but you don't get the same service, because I happen to have the knowledge and experience and can literally answer any question, so you don't have to wait for answers, and it's just live on. And my clients only deal with me. Of course, they talk to my guys when they're working, but the answers and the project experience and what's going to happen comes from me, and I project, just like I project my life and what I want to do. The project is projected, and then we stay on schedule and stay on budget. But it's very amazing. Most people don't, have that projection, or they don't go through the milestones and warn them and then remind them, because clients don't remember from day to day. And if you've noticed, some clients are really busy. After they're done with the project, they have no idea what happened and how it was done. Even though you tell them and you spell it out, they're just glad they got done and they got what they wanted. But it's amazing. They need to be nurtured and explained, and then a little hand holding. It's mandatory, I think.
Yeah,
it's part of the 5-star service, because you just want to guide them through it, seamlessly.
And they probably don't even know half of what you go through. Like, we talk about it on my team, where it's like, we want the client to see the duck, and no matter how crazy the flapping's going on under the water, we don't want to bother them with the minutia on the back end. We just want to let them know what they need to know.
Yes.
But 9 times out of 10, clients don't really know what we go through to get them what they
have no
want.
idea. And if my clients,
we make it look easy.
Yes, and I like the fact of the duck or the swan floating across the water.
Nice and peaceful.
And they don't see anything going on. Because I watched some videos, because some of these new contractors have these great little videos of what it's like on the job site with problems. And one of them shows a George Washington, for some reason, walking through a battle zone, and the inside of the house is shown being blown up by cannons. So if they live through their remodel and are present in the dirt with everything, then they get a hint of the intensity. But we don't recommend that. We want them out of the way and enjoying their life.
I'd like to know, did you always start with these awesome designs and oceanfront properties, or was there a moment where you had made it? You know what I mean? Like because it's like, for me, when I started my career, it was selling $500,000, $800,000 properties. And there was a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I sold $1 million house. And then I sold a $5 million house. It's like, where was that moment where you're like, I made the club, I'm a badass?
Well, I made it in New York City, but I was working for someone who she was hooked up with the 5 top developers. So I was her representative on all the design. I met with the developers one-on-one. I was only 24 and they were 50. So I got to work with all the, I say the mafia construction, but it's just the biggest developers and the concrete guys. And it was me. And I made it because I designed the projects, I sold them, and managed all the men that installed them. And so I technically made it in New York, right? That was it. I made my career. There was nothing could be better. Then when I came to California, I couldn't find a job in architecture because it was a recession anyway, but they said I was overqualified. And why should I sit at a desk? So I got pushed into custom kitchen sales. I'm like, sales and retail, that's not me. So what happened is my first client owned a Wallace Neff home in Pasadena, which later I remodeled for 15 years. I stayed with them, but that home went into the movie Monster-in-Law, and that was a Wallace Neff. That home had not been touched since it was built in 1928. So I was the first one to remodel the kitchen. So that put me on the map, and I still had that client for years to come. So I only worked on the big ones in LA my first year or two in California, and then I moved to Laguna, and that's when I started from scratch.
Yeah.
Because I just packed up and moved down there because someone asked me to design a kitchen showroom on the corner of Bristol and Jamboree, where the Subway shop is behind Lexus. And I designed that showroom and started my custom kitchen business, which is interior design, custom kitchens. But I started with, 1,500 to 2,500 square foot homes, doing the remodels with the owners, and they're usually very bad contractors and no permits and this and that. So I always, so what happened is my rings represent my success. This is when I made my first $100,000. This is, and then it goes up to when I made my first $1 million. But each one of these rings represents a monument in my success as a businesswoman, because my mom always says, buy yourself a diamond. No one else is going to reward you for your career success. Because I never had a man in my life. I didn't get happily married till I was 50. No one helped me with nothing this whole time. No banks, no lenders, no boyfriends. I did this by myself. So every time I had success, this ring was from when I was 40, and this is 45, this is 50. And that's when I donated a bunch of money to the chamber. And this one is just because I had to have it last year as, because I hit monuments in my success of sales, because I doubled my business sales in 2015, and I did it again last year. So we're talking, I went from 1 to 5 million in 1 year, and I went from 5 to 10 million again, and now I'm at 21 million. So when I put my mind to something, and I'm in charge of my destiny, me and me only. So these rings represent that. And then I got my Elvis ring because it was just my dad had passed away, and he liked Elvis, so I got that a couple of years ago. So I added that to my collection.
I love those.
And Elvis is
I love that.
TCB, taking care of business. So it goes with my whole I get stuff done.
Yeah, I totally love that. Actually, it's funny. One of my coaches we were talking the other day, and he was like, you have to find ways to reward yourself for the hard work that you do. Otherwise, you're just working to pay your bills, and that's no fun. And so those are all anchors, memory anchors to remind you that you're a badass and that you're doing important things and special things.
I took a moment to pat myself on the back and say thank you. And like every night I go to bed, I try to say thank you, I love you, forgive me, that whole thing, because I did a lot of like meditation, grounding, because I'm really hyper, and you get sidetracked in life, and you want to please other people. Because I'm a salesman, I'm a designer, so I'm like nice, and I had to learn how not to be a people pleaser and be more of a businesswoman. because we want to help people, because that's what I do for a living. I help people. But this whole thing, I learned a lot from 40 and 50, and then now I'm 60. So now I got it all figured out.
We're getting smarter and smarter, huh?
Yeah.
I love it. So what is on your website, you have multiple different styles of properties that you've created and remodeled. What is your favorite style?
My personal favorite style is 1930s Art Deco, hands down. The clothes the ladies wear, the way the men's dress, the movie sets, the Art Deco furniture, the desky, the room, and the inside of Radio City Music Hall, if you don't know what it means, at the top of the Empire State Building. And the Chrysler Building is my all-time favorite. I have a picture of the Chrysler Building by my door when I walk out every morning. I mean, I am an Art Deco because Art Deco is the streamlined version of design. So it's the first modern design. It comes from Paris. I love everything Paris and France and all that furniture history. But it also is the time where they used the most valuable, most expensive, most valuable, most quality, I should say, wood and gemstones, the jewelry, everything is fabulous. That's my favorite period. And the cars from that time period. I'm like, oh, yeah.
So I'm curious to know, of all the projects you've ever done, if you were to think of your favorite ones, what would be one or two that came to mind?
Well, my first favorite one was the Wallace Neff home, because I got to design their kitchen and the whole place. And it's all my hand drawings with a cabinet maker from Germany and who didn't speak English. So it was truly custom. And he made the doors, he made everything. And then, of course, that was in the movie Monster-in-Law. But my other one is my client, Tony Baxter, who's the Imagineer for Disney, who designed the Paris Disneyland. I met him 5 or 6 years ago, and we've never left his house because we do better work than Disney. Because I have the guys that can carve wood and gold gild and do whatever he wants. And we're always doing something in his home. So we're back in his house right now, and it's a pleasure to work for someone of that talent. Like, we did his backyard in the Mary Poppins theme from the new Mary Poppins movie in like 30 days, because he's told his friends, I want that in my backyard. So 30 days later, we had 10 lampposts and a fountain and moonlight from 30-foot trees, which those are my favorite projects when they're rewarding jobs, they're historically rewarding homes, and really wonderful clients that have talent and understand and let us go, let us do our thing.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because you had kind of touched on the clients are different, and some want to really be involved, and some maybe micromanage, and you just said how he lets you do your thing. And it's interesting because the clients that let my team and I do our thing and just go, hey, you're the pro, you handle it. They always win.
They always win.
They always win, because we know what works already. But the ones that want to micromanage us and say, hey, my friend said this, or I saw this online, it's like that. The resistance just, it's tough.
It's tough, and
tough to work in that environment.
And I have a client now, he can't help, all of his emails are rude and condescending. I'm like, where'd you come from? Because we were working with the wife, and now it's him, and we just can't figure it out, because all of a sudden he knows all about our business, Mr. IT guy. Yeah, so we can't figure it out, but he's causing us to kind of, the juices to stop to flow.
Yeah, the creative juices stop.
The karma's going to get him, and we're just not going to help him anymore with extra stuff, because I like to do things for my clients, but one thing I can't handle is disrespect.
Yeah.
I don't care, because I treat everybody the same. And, all my guys down to the lowest one on the totem pole. That's what life's about. Oh, my God. I don't like people that aren't nice to people just because they're not at their class level. Whatever. Yeah. I can't stand that.
One of my favorites was, I had a client once. She was referred to me by another A-plus client. And she's like, Robert, I didn't want to do any of the stuff that you asked me to do, but she goes, you came so highly recommended. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to trust my friend and listen to you. And she goes, I'm so glad I did. See? Because you killed it. And she's like, everything makes sense now, but it didn't make sense then. But it's like, yeah, because I've done this 1,000 times and you've done it twice.
Well, that's just it. I try to tell people we've done it for 1,000 times. We've done it for 40 years. Why aren't you listening? But when you get people like that are kind of stuck in their head, and you can't, it's hard, but it's nice when it's all about trust.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing with when I'm dealing with people. I said, it's all you, babe, or all you. Let's do this. I'm not going to get in your way. And I just sign off and do your thing. Yeah. That's how it's supposed to be.
Well, that's why you hire a professional, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, if you're not going to let me do my job, why am I even here?
Yeah, why am I here? And then they cut you down the price, and they waste your time, and then before you know it, you spend thousands of additional hours, and it's all for nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So none of us are perfect. And I'm assuming you've had some job problems or mistakes you've made in the past or teams made in the past. What is one mistake that you think about from time to time, and how did you resolve it? How did you make it better?
Well, I think mistakes are, I hate to say this, but we don't make mistakes because we draw plans and we plan.
Okay.
So there are no mistakes when you do the plans right and you pick the materials. There are no mistakes. But I had a couple new project managers, and you manage them as much as you can, but if the process or somebody misses a step in the process and something gets ordered wrong, or that bugs me. And so I just learned to have, one person on each process, so there's nobody can point fingers, because you can't have finger pointing in my business, because that's why people hire me, because there's no finger pointing. So it's I've only had a glitch when I tried to hire help, so I don't have a lot of help. I still do the plans and approve the samples and the materials, and then I still oversee the project manager, because I got to see what's going on. You just kind of look at everything. So it upsets me if there is a mistake a lot. Like I go crazy, like, wow, like, how did this happen? So I don't let other people, fall into the pitfalls of making the mistake. So that's how I've corrected it. I just have a process in place, and the plans are the Bible, and everything you need to know are on the plans. And then I have a program that shows you the plans in words and by room and all the materials. So I've created a bulletproof system. How's that?
It sounds like you have.
Because I don't like mistakes.
Yeah.
I can't stand them.
I think that's I love that response, because, even just looking at your website right now, it all starts with a good plan. Like,
yes.
if you have the right plan and you follow the plan,
yes,
then
that's all it is.
you minimize the
don't deviate.
Yes.
Don't wing it.
I love that. So we talked a little bit about, like, working with some challenging clients. As a business owner, although we want to help everybody, I know I'm not for everybody, and I know you're probably not for everyone. Mm-mm. So what is your ideal client avatar? And for anybody listening that's like, hey, I'm looking to remodel my home, or I'm looking to build new construction, how would they know if you're the person for them?
Okay, so first of all, I'm the only human on the planet that does everything personally at One Stop Shop. I provide the architectural plans, I hire the engineers, I do the interior design, and I do the construction. So I'm a true one-stop shop. There is no one else like that. Now, there's companies like that, but you'll work with 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 people. But the ideal client is someone who really wants to have their life and hire a professional and just let us handle it. Up front, it's a lot of work, because I got to pick their brain and get it on paper. But the ideal client, which I've realized I get lately, are pretty much people that have several homes or a couple homes, been through the process before and been burned or not, or just didn't like it, and want to come to me because they want a stress-free, seamless process. In the beginning of my career, I would stand with the homeowner and help them owner build. So I don't do owner builder. I don't coach people how to do this. I do it. But I do explain it. So the ideal client is a very busy person with a couple homes, and that just wants it done right and doesn't want to really be involved, other than, of course, the initial part. Like I said, the old days, we had clients on the job every day and making changes, and that's nonsense. So, no micromanagers. People that are busy and successful is what we like.
Yeah.
And they get it. And they want quality. Because we can't do discount. We work at the beach. There's no discount. There's no not doing quality. You have to do quality here.
Well, I like that too. It's interesting, because although you and I are in 2 different industries, same industry, but we sell different products. Yeah. We're the same. Like, our ideal client avatar is somebody who is busy with life, busy with work, doesn't want to get involved in the real estate process, just wants to hire a pro that knows what they're doing, and they wanted to get it done. And I love that. I respect that. Yep. So anything new on the horizon for you? Anything that you have never done but have always wanted to do that you want to start incorporating into your business? Or if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and just keep crushing the machine?
In the beginning, I did commercial. So for a minute there, I thought about how am I going to take the business from 25 million to 50 million to 100 million. So a couple of years ago, I became a prevailing wage contractor, because I did the fire department and the police station and things like that. And then I signed up for SAM.gov and became a certified woman-owned business to be able to participate and work in the federal government projects like military bases. So as a female woman-owned business, that's as far as I can take it, as far as anything I could ever want to do, because I already did commercials, so that's great, but I could do it, but I'm not going to. But I did sign up and become available, so if a large construction company that does federal work wanted to bring me in as the minority, because they have to bring in a minority, which is a woman-owned business or other minority, as 25% of the business for the government. So I could be brought in. So I made myself available, but I don't know if it'll happen, but I just had to prove a point and get that done, because I am certified as a woman-owned business now legally. So
I love it.
I've done everything I could do with my education and my career and my what I could do as a contractor and a designer. And I had no desire to become a licensed architect in California, but so I've done everything. So the only thing now is to grow the business and eventually give it to, well, not give it to, but make it so it continues on with the employees that want to take it into the future after I'm done retiring at maybe 85. That's 20 years.
Yeah. Well, working keeps us young, right?
I'm not retiring.
So when you say grow the business, help me understand a little bit more about some of those goals. I'd be curious.
Well, I still want to grow the business and do more homes and more volume. So I have an idea of how to do that, and it might involve spec homes, but I am going to grow this business to another number, and it's already at 21 million on paper, and I'm going to get it to the higher number. But and then I'll have more project managers, and the more people I train to do this one-stop shop like I do it, you don't have to be a designer to do this. You can be trained to do the process. The better the world will be, and the better the future will be, because they'll see it can be done. I've already proven it can be done. I'm a girl. I did it. I'm a contractor. I have a degree in design, and it's all possible for every other female and man to do what I do as a one-stop shop, but no one wants to do the whole thing as one-stop shop. So I've already proven it's done, and I'm just going to share how it's done for the rest of my life, and so more people will do it and make the projects better for the client. So the goal is to make the experience better for the client, and I've already proven that can be done by one human. So let's train a bunch of other humans to do it. Is my goal is to give back and hire more people and train them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, there's so many similarities between you and I. So you said share, and I'm curious to know, you have a podcast, and all the episodes are on your website.
Yes.
And I went through a few of the episodes, and I loved how you give information away.
Yes.
So if somebody can't afford you or doesn't want to hire you and just wants to learn, there's an abundance of information on your site.
Yeah.
How do you come up with that type of content, and what's your goal when you create this content?
Okay, so I come up with all my own content, and I write all my articles, my editorials, and my blogs, and my newsletters. So it's me. So what it is I go through my process, and I also kind of wrote a book about how to avoid a nightmare remodel, so that between what's going on in the world in the remodel business and how it's transferring and how to avoid the nightmare, there's endless podcasts on that. Who to hire, who not to hire, what to do, what not to do as a homeowner. There's like endless stuff about that alone. So I came up with the content based on basically my 12-month cycle of what am I doing on newsletter, which covers like all the things of our business. And it really boils down on how to stay on track and how not to step into the pitfalls of and what not to do, more than what to do. So, because everybody's lost when they start, like, I got to remodel. Who do I hire first? What do I do first? What's my job? What's my role? Nobody really knows. And every person's going to tell you something different based on their own agenda of how much they want to get you to pay them. And they're not really going to take the project on as a whole. You get stuck with little silos of people sucking you dry of money and time. So I try to eliminate all that. So that's what I talk about, basically.
Yeah.
That's how to avoid the nightmare.
And do you find that, do you generate business through your podcast at all?
I've noticed that when I was driving through town in Laguna Beach and I was honking at one of my friends, this lady rolled down her window and says, "Hey, I know you from your videos."
There you go.
Really? So I guess they're working, because I used to advertise in the newspaper only, and that's how I got all my original clients, as a local ad on that newspaper that's thrown on the doorstep, but now it's coming from the internet because the younger crowd searches the internet.
Yeah.
So it is working.
We're doing the same thing. We're creating content online. We're pushing out YouTube videos, and we're it's a great way for our future clients to get to see us and feel us and get that body language,
Yeah, and get to
they
know
go, you know
you.
what, I'm comfortable. I can see myself working with him or her. I'm gonna give him a call.
Yeah, no one knows you unless you're on video, because the picture doesn't work, the words don't work, the static picture doesn't work.
Yeah.
The video gets them to see our energy and who we are and how we are, just like almost meeting the person. And then the second step is to meet him in person, and bam.
Yeah, we have this client that came through YouTube. We call him a YouTube guy. We're still working on getting more clients through YouTube.
I love it.
But he basically called, and we started telling him like what we needed, and he goes, "Yeah, I already know. I've been watching Robert's videos for like the last year."
See?
And then when we connected him with Ryan on the team, and Ryan was working with him, and so they found the property. They wanted to submit an offer, and Ryan was going through how the market was and how we could create a competitive offer. And he's like, "Yeah, I already know all this stuff. I watched all of your guys' videos.
so
Just
cool.
tell me where to sign."
There you go. See,
And I was like,
already
"Oh my
educated.
gosh!" Like
You're educating the client.
We need more people like YouTube guy to just trust us, because it's just such a challenging business.
And
Like you said, people have trust issues.
You have trust issues, and I try to educate. I guess that's what I'm doing, is educating so people know what is right when they see it. Because unless you're educated and informed, because you can't make a decision. So, yeah, you got to be educated. So I think my videos are educational.
They are.
On top
and
of-
they're very relevant. They're
Yes,
very
thank you.
relevant, at least from like somebody who's in the industry. They're great
I try
information.
to take all my experiences, and I listen to what's going around me, because half of my clients come to me because they've just fired the architect or the contractor, okay? So I still get almost 50% of my business from that. In the beginning, it was almost all of it. So I still get a lot of my business from that, because I'm kind of like Harvey Keitel in Reservoir Dogs. I'm the fixer.
You're the cleaner,
The
yeah?
cleaner, yeah, that's it, the cleaner.
It's funny. I used to call myself, I was like, I'm the janitor, because I always clean up everybody else's messes.
That's just it.
How is it like, have you ever taken over a job that's already like started and the
yeah.
construction started? Like, how do you manage something like that? How do you go back and like reverse engineer it all?
You just have to go in and be honest with the client, what has to be ripped out and changed, take over the permit, and just clean up the mess and redo the plans. And it usually costs some money, which they're willing to pay and happy to pay after they realize you are taking over, and then their nightmare is gone down the road. So it's not fun, because you have to tell the client the hard truth of what really happened. And I'm going through it right now. I just got back from the city when I came here, because I have to tell the client the hard truth is, this is what he really did. And this is what's going to happen, and this is what you're going to have to do to get yourself out of the mess he created. So I have to, unfortunately, tell people stuff they don't want to hear, which is kind of sad, because I have to be the bad guy, but somebody's got to tell the truth.
We always say, we're going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And I'd be very concerned if you hired somebody who's just going to be a yes person all the time.
You can't have that. And I'm unfortunately very direct and blunt, and I just rip the Band-Aid off right away, and then we get past it. And I try to make it fun and, joke and laugh around. But, yeah.
So
tough.
How is, I don't even know how to ask this question, but like, for example, there's 25,000 licensed real estate agents in Orange County.
Oh, I thought there was more.
Yeah, right. It feels like it sometimes. But the top 5% basically control most of what's going on.
Yes.
And a lot of us know each other, and we network with each other, and we bump into each other. We might go against each other on a listing. Is that how it's like in your world with like other builders or designers or developers? Like, are you constantly running into or competing against similar people?
Well, what happens is, like my friend Howard says, Julie, you have no competition. Because I don't, right? No one else does what I do.
Right.
Literally. The architects don't do what I do, the designers don't do what I do, and the contractors don't do what I do. So I literally have no competition. So the minute I became a contractor, my life changed for the better and my income changed. But the competition started, and then people don't know what to do with me. So there's maybe some people that are jealous, some people don't get it. But it changed because every job out there has an architect and an interior designer and a contractor, and they're all kind of married together because they know each other and they stick together and they do great work as a team. Mm-hmm. Then there's me, so I am competing with, and I can't compete with a licensed architect on new construction, for example. So I'm kind of in a bubble. in between, and that's why I focus on the remodels. But I'm very good at new construction and complicated construction, and that's my specialty. The harder, the better, because of my background. But there is constant competition. So what happens is I'll get calls from people that are shopping bids, and all my competitions bid before me, and then I'll come in because I always ask who's the other bidders, and we're right there with each other. So there's like 5 of us at the high end that are all together, and we're following each other, and sometimes they'll get the job, sometimes I'll get the job, but we're all in the mix together, even though I'm different because I'm one-stop shop.
Yeah.
But I'm still competing with the contractor all the time. So there's a couple guys out there. There's one of them I want to take over his lead in the market, and I will probably do that soon, but I haven't. I have ideas of who to compete with, against, and how should I say it in a better way? Yeah.
Well, they keep you on your toes, right? You got to stay sharp.
Yeah, and then a lot of these contractors that I'm talking about have Wall Street money and investors, and so they can operate at a different level than I can. So, but I'm still determined to. I will stay in the game. I am in the game, but I have ideas about competing in the future, and I'm always in the game because my reputation of after 35 years is rock solid as the girl that gets it done, honest and on time and in budget, blah, 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 all that good stuff. But it's interesting how how I fit into that world, because it's me, and then there's the 3 of them. Yeah. Do
you find that the clients that you pitch or go through your strategy, do they understand the value that you bring when you're like, I'm the one-stop shop, or do you find that sometimes they don't get it?
No, the client that I'm seeing after this podcast specifically asked who in this Orange County area can, because she's done several homes and she's in the business. She asked for who can I go to that can provide a one-stop shop, because I just can't handle managing everyone again. And then my name came up because I'm the only one. So people are asking for that. Thank God, they want that.
Yeah.
And other people want to have their architect, their buddy, and they have their contractor because their kids go to school together, and they have their decorator because they go out to lunch all the time. There's a whole thing why people hire other people, and because they're in their community and they know them a different way, blah, blah, blah. So, but people ask for this now. They ask for the one-stop shop because it didn't exist before. So now they're asking for it.
Well, I feel like life is just so complicated now. We have so many distractions, and everybody wants everything so fast and on demand that if you can eliminate the number of people you have to coordinate with, I just feel like the efficiencies are a no-brainer.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
So I love that.
Yeah.
So as we close here, what's one thing that we haven't talked about that you actually love talking about, like, or something you're working on in your business? Or
well, I'm always growing my business and trying to be better, be a better person. I mean, you evolve as a human, and as you were saying before, every mistake creates an opportunity, and every challenge creates an opportunity to be better, give better service. So I don't know. I just think whatever you are deep inside, down to your soul, what you eat and how you take care of yourself radiates back out. So I always focus on, am I grounded? Am I clearing and cleansing every day? Am I getting the toxins out? Because I'm like I like to manifest. And when I say I'm going to double my business, it happens. I don't know quite how I do it, but it happens because I think of ways to do it, and I plan and I project and it gets done. But I'm a master manifester, and that involves cleansing and clearing. So I don't hold on to stuff. And I don't, if you get my way, I might drive you over with my truck. It's in essence because I'm not letting anything stop me. Why should I? And I'm not letting fear stop me. Fear is a waste of time. So I really practice the grounding, clearing and cleansing every day, and a lot of water, stay hydrated, stay alkaline. I don't believe in disease, sickness, and there's no reason for it if you eat right. I'm so bent on, proving that to myself, because I have people in my family that got diabetes because they chuggled Coca-Colas and ate ice cream every night. I'm sorry, but, there's no reason for a lot of things to happen, and it all starts with you, and you're responsible for you. So I'm all big into that, and, my inner energy that comes out, and it's pretty pure and strong. So I have to watch out because people can't handle the energy. So
No, I mean, there's alignment. I have major alignment with you there as well. I am a firm believer in the entire, like the sicknesses are all coming from our lifestyle, right? What we put on our body, what we put in our body. You know, everyone says F cancer, but nobody ever says F processed foods, right? Or F not exercising.
There's no reason for cancer, most of it. There's no reason for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think lifestyle is super important. So thank you so much for sharing everything with me today. That was awesome. How can people get in touch with you?
Just
What's the best way?
My website, which is my name, Julie Laughton, with Laughton. So everything's under my name. Makes it easy.
Yeah, all your social media channels are on there,
Yep.
Instagram, all that fun stuff.
Yep.
Great. Well, thank you again for coming. Please make sure you share and subscribe this so you can tell YouTube and all the other channels that we're actually putting out content that you guys care about. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Elevate Podcast.